Welcome to part 3 of our Dashing Dad run through Resident Evil The Village. If you've enjoyed the last 2 videos with a lot of excitement and a lot of fighting and gunshots, this might not be the same pace for you. This video has a lot of running in it, a whole lot of running in it. Mostly because we're going to skip doing everything that's in the areas that we don't need to really do anything in. Running by them takes time. I mean, you're going to see like 6 to 7 minute runs through this video. The video is only about 40 minutes long, so you can imagine how much of it is just running from point A to point B. We start off going through the gate. We're going into where the Benevientos are. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but
what's going on?
Where they control their part of their village. There's a gardener's house here. You can't do anything in it at the moment, and once you meet Mia on the road there, you're back to that walking pace that you had when you were carrying Rose in the house at the beginning of the game.
Everyone leaves me.
It's a long, long walk through the gardener's area. You eventually get down to the Beneviento grave, and you can start running again. But it's a short run over to a door. You're going to have to trade your memories for opening the door, which is essentially a photograph that you've been carrying through the whole game that you may or may not even have known you had. But this family photo of Mia and Rose, you shove that in the slot and the door will open.
What's going on?
Then there's the longest elevator ride. Well, I guess it's the second longest elevator ride in the game. It's incredible, long, slow crawl up a cliffside. The lore that goes with this part of it is that Donna didn't really respond to the fungus, the cadu stuff that they put in you the way the rest of the wards did. She didn't really mutate that much. She just became psychic. And so what really happened is back there as you crossed the grave site, or as you came into her area, there were flowers. There were these yellow flowers around the gravesite that was kind of subdued in the graphics, but they're supposed to be yellow. They're letting off a pollen, and that pollen has infected you now. And so she's kind of in control of your psychosis already. This is a beautiful house on a beautiful cliff with a beautiful firewall behind it. But for us, it's just another run to the doorway. In through the doors, and you have to run through the whole house because there's a door to your right that would lead to the elevator, but that door's locked, so you have to go all the way through the house this way, all the way around. There's going to be an elevator, and probably the first time you get here you're expecting the elevator to maybe take you to the second floor or something, but instead it takes you all the way back down into some sort of basement lab. But there's also a living area down there, so it's part of the house, but you can see me do the dance trying to get the button to show up. That becomes a problem for me later. This run has a couple of pretty unique things. You'll probably be surprised at my gameplay in a couple of spots here, but okay, so once we're down here in the lab area, you're trying to trigger the puzzle start, and you've got to get all the way back here through these doors into the lab area, and there'll be Angie the doll sitting there. And you click on her, and that's going to start the true psychosis of the whole thing. You come out of this, there's a body laying on a table. It won't let you skip the parts that are in the black here. You have to wait until something starts to appear again.
What?
The body on the table is really a mannequin.
Where's my gun?
If you looked at the picture that I'm not going to look at, but if you looked at that picture, it would tell you that this is basically supposed to represent Mia. So you're going to pull Mia apart. The only thing you really have to get here is this winding key from the S.T.A.K.E. That's assuming you remember everything else. Of course, Brian doesn't remember everything else, so we're going to look at the door and go, oh man, I don't remember the combination. So I'm going to go back and get a wedding ring. The wedding ring's going to wind up having the combination on it. It's our anniversary, so, you know, like a typical man, I have forgotten the anniversary. on her other shoulder, there will be a key to the door that's behind him. The silver key will open that door, and inside the lab, there's a place to wash the blood off the ring and get the date of the wedding anniversary. Which now that I've gone through this and I will never forget, is on May 29th, 2011. Did I get it right? You can see I'm wasting time as far as a speed run goes here because I couldn't remember the date. So remembering that date save you almost a minute, I think, in your speed run. But I was right, 5/29/11. So, and yes, I cheated. I had it written down on a piece of paper next to me. So, okay. Once you get through this door, you will actually, the winding key that I said you needed, you're going to use that in a door that you ran by on the way here. To use the music box. The music box the music box plays a couple of roles in this part of the game. And if you remember, we walked right by it when we were holding Rose. We went upstairs, we turned around, there was a music box there, we went by and put her in her crib. Well, that music box is now sitting on this table. And so if you did the part in the home, you would know that this was a gift from your mother-in-law for your wedding. And that this tune is very special to Rose. She reacts to it. So you solve the little puzzle here. Basically, you're trying to line up grooves that are in these things, these little slash marks that are in the discs of the music box. Once you get them all lined, the box will open and you'll get a pair of tweezers. If you couldn't really see what was going on there, we have a short on our channel, the Resident Evil shorts. There's a link to the playlist in the description of the video. In there's a video that explains how to figure out which grooves go where. There's some stationary parts of that puzzle, and you just have to find the groove that lines up with that. Anyway, so now you're back. The first time we did this, I was at a loss. I could not figure out how to get her mouth open. It was because every time I looked at the face, I was not reading the bottom of the thing that said use the joystick to decide to go left or right. And I could not do anything but look at her eye. I could not find the mouth. But, now that this is our 5th run through this game, that's why I felt I felt I had enough memory of the path to get through it straight, fast, and get the Dashing Dad achievement done. Put the film strip here. There's a piece of paper next to the film strip that describes the order. Basically, you need to put her doll, her favorite thing, and then her favorite book, and then her, which is your favorite thing, and then the music box, which is important to everybody, and the rings, which is a symbol of Ethan's eternal love. Once that's all put together, you can't skip this video. This video is going to show you that there's probably something in a well somewhere. You don't know where this well is at the moment, but there's a big hint coming. When the film ends, a door will open and you can go through the bookcase. Apologies, my voice is a little hoarse today. In this little hallway, there are a pair of scissors. You're going to need these scissors once to get out of the hallway and into the back hallway. But you're also going to need to use it on the Mia doll to get the brass medallion. It's located where her heart would be, so it makes sense. Now you're back in that lab where we washed the ring off. You have to wait for Mia. I don't know if you caught her in the window there, but Mia's passing by the window there. And silly me, I don't know why. I stopped there and didn't open the bandages. But if you look at her chest and open the bandages, where her heart would be, there's a metal medallion This is sort of like the discs that you use to get through the gate that got you into the castle. It's, same sort of thing. There's a door puzzle back here. The first thing to the top left is, you would have seen this in her eye. Since it was a speed run, we didn't look at her eye, but you would have seen that image in her eye. You would have seen this image in her other arm. If you'd have pulled another part of her right arm off, you would have seen that image. You put the medallion in the third spot, and then you can run down these stairs to the well that was displayed in the video that told you there were ladders down into the well. At this point, you don't really know why you're going down the well. Or, I mean, you know there's something in there, but you don't know what it's going to be. It would be so nice to be able to drop through these ladders, but okay. But it's a breaker box key, so now you're at least the first time I played, I was asking myself, I went through all this to get a breaker box key so I can go back up the elevator. Like, what was I supposed to be doing down here? And the answer is really nothing. We were just down here to get back up there and see this horror that's about to appear. On most difficulties, this playthrough is basically identical for this area. There's nothing different. You don't do anything different. But in Village of Shadows, it's not any different. But this baby that you just triggered there is fast, and you need to really move. You need to not get stuck on doorways. You need to not. Basically, you triggered it. You're going to go back around the whole loop. There's a door there to the right that's eventually going to be important, but you don't know that yet. So you went back to the area that you found the scissors in, back through the library. And now the elevator's there, and there's no big giant baby ready to eat you. Open the box, and you're going to get a medallion. I guess it's a relief. I guess they call it a relief of a child. So this fits that door that you just ran by. If you try to run back to that door, you're going to encounter the baby in the hallway. It's just quicker, easier, and simpler to just continue around the loop. I don't think the baby goes through that hole. I don't think it fits through that hole in the bookcase that we crawled through. So I don't really know where it goes, but you won't encounter it if you just run around this circle this way. Put the relief in the door. This is going to open up, and this goes to kind of a living quarters that's down here. There's a kitchen through this door here, and then around through the door on the other side, you get to a bedroom. In this bedroom, there's a fuse box, and that's where you need the fuse for the elevator to work. Everything goes black, of course, when you pull the fuse out. Now you're back to a flashlight. And you're headed back to the elevator thinking everything's ready. But as you go up these stairs, you're going to trigger the baby again. Of course, I'm just flipping. I'm not waiting to see it here. In casual difficulty, it moves slow enough you can actually watch it crawl a little bit if you want, but don't suggest it in general. Hide under the bed. You can also hide in the closet. I've never actually hid in the closet. I don't know if that would work. I don't know what would happen, but the baby's going to come through the door, and it's one of the grossest things you've seen in any of the Resident Evil games. You're going to wait for it to go by the bed. Once it gets by the bed, you're going to bolt out and run. I think the symbology here was that basically the Mia doll gave birth to this thing because there was a pool of embryonic blood and fluid and kind of the umbilical cord stretching down that hallway when we first went down it. So I got turned around here. Here I was expecting to be already up the stairs. I forgot the stairs were there. You can't go directly to your right, so you just go to your left. The baby has knocked down a bunch of bookcases and stuff there, so there was no path. Run around the circle again, and you will get to the elevator where you can put the fuse in, and then get into the elevator. And this is the first place that we can all have a good chuckle at how silly Brian was. I put the fuse in, and I thought, oh, anybody watching this on YouTube, it'd be cool if they could see the baby. So I turn around, And I'm watching the baby come down the hallway. And I'm thinking, is this door behind me? I'm pushing back and it's not opening. I turn around, it finally opens. But now I'm feeling very rushed because I was watching the baby and I missed that button. And when I tried to get it again, this is the first time I have ever died to that baby. It's probably the first time in history anybody's died to that baby, especially on casual mode. It costs about 30 seconds worth of gameplay time. And here I was confused. I didn't know if I was going to have to go get the relief. I was expecting a larger penalty. And so I hit the wrong button, and now I have to put the fuse in. Okay, another fuse is in. This time I played it much more like you would normally play it. You hear the baby behind you, but you don't look. I don't think it slows the baby down. It just works better to find this button. Then I push the button this time. Yay. So I hope you enjoyed my death. That was got to be a rare death. I mean, I think anybody else filming that on YouTube would have only been doing it on purpose. I was not doing it on purpose, I promise you. You get back up here and the world is fuzzy. And Ethan's not moving as fast as he would normally run. But the world's good and fuzzy, and I think it's supposed to represent the pollen in the air. There's a cutscene here where the doll Angie comes over to you. You get attacked by some little dolls, and Angie comes over to you and says, "Catch me if you can. Your life's on the line." TikTok, and she goes and plays. This is a game of hide and seek, and there's an achievement called Master of Hide and Seek, or Hide and Seek Master, I guess it was. She is always hidden here in that upstairs bedroom the first time you find it. You have to find her 3 times. The second time, she's in one of 2 places. Always one of 2 places. Run back down the stairs. Because Ethan's moving slow, my PC is also dragging a bit here. I think I dropped into the high 40s frame rate. It's better if you go around that this way, and you can see in there, and she's not there. So she would have either been right there to the left, or she's right here behind the dolls. See, she wasn't to the left, she was behind the dolls, and you grab her there. If you actually have to spend any time looking, you won't get the hide and seek master achievement. You have to go directly where they are. And for me, I was never able to get it unless she was right there where I went and looked. So I don't think in this run through, I don't think this would have qualified as the hide and seek master. If she's not there by that front doorway, she'll be here. And it's interesting that she's here in this video because I don't think if she's here that you can actually get there in time to get the achievement. You're going to kill her. And then you're going to find out that it's actually Donna that you just stuck those scissors into. And what I find is funny about it is that you're not by the elevator anymore. You're back here by the door where either way, when you kill her, this is where you're going to be. You're going to grab the second flask. Might as well pick up the treasure. This is the legs. And the door should unlock then, but it takes a second. Then you get out. You once again have an inventory, so you can pull your gun back out, but there's nothing to shoot. Now this is a really, really long run. It's like 7 minutes from start to finish, from having done anything back there with Donna to the next place you're going to be. I guess there is one in that 7 minutes. There's one thing to fight, but it goes quickly. Your goal here is now to get to the Moreau's area, the reservoir. You have to. There's if you weren't doing a speed run, there's a whole lot to do. Back in the village, back in the gardener's area, before you get to the village, that's now open to you, and you can find some treasures there, some combinable pieces of treasure. You can there's some foes to fight. There's one of those ball puzzles to solve. But we're going to run right by that after this awfully long elevator ride. I don't know if they're loading, like they're using this elevator ride to load, and maybe my PC was struggling to get enough of the map loaded or something. I'm not entirely certain, but this ride, how am I supposed to fill this time with my voice? I know that some YouTube professional players they will speed up parts of the video like this so that you don't have to wait through it. I'm okay with that, but I more prefer that you actually see what the Dashing Dad achievement run really was. And there are these long, boring runs. There are these long, boring elevator rides. And all that time, you need to use that time to be thinking about what you're doing. And I clearly was not thinking clear enough because I took a long path through the garden. You could have just cut by that building and come straight here. Skip the gardener's house. All right. So there is one thing, if you're not doing a speed run, this is the one time in the game that the Beneviento crypt inside the graveyard that's in the middle of the village, that it'll be open and you can get the broken slab that goes to the grave, the huge gravesite back there. If you don't get it at this point, it won't be accessible. And I think what happened at this point in the game is I actually ran past what was loaded. I don't know what that black screen was. I couldn't skip it. There's no cutscene that goes there. I mean, it's just that guy coming out of the ground, but it's part of the game. You can shoot him while he's in the ground, so it's not. And there, once again, I get a little black screen, and I'm running over here, and I get another black screen. I think I was taking a line that was the computer was having a hard time keeping the map updated. It gets a little break here to load some more while I wait on the store. There's a jump scare that the first time you see this, I would be surprised if anybody didn't jump at this jump scare. This huge wolf thing that you don't even know what it is starts chewing on you. There's a cutscene here, and you wind up inside the building that was behind you. You can see the S.T.A.K.E actually makes very short work of this big beast. It's like 2 shots and he's gone. And here we continue our run. Still part of what I called the 7-minute run. We gotta go all the way through the village. The area, if you remember where you first came through, was on your left. That's where you first used the bolt cutters to open the gate. Way back here, there's some slime all over this kind of entryway here. And now technically you're in Moreau's area. You're not to the reservoir yet, but this is still considered part of Moreau's area. Shoot some more slime, jump up the ladder. There are some pigs here for the cooking ingredients. We don't need them. Run by right by the save point. We're going to go down these stairs and find a mine that goes down to the mine shafts. So I was telling you that the Beneviento crypt in the central graveyard in the village was open at this time, and you could have gotten a broken slab. If you take that broken slab back to that big grave that was in front of that door, there'll be a giant there, and it's in our run through here. We're going to skip both giants, but that's one of the only times. That's one of the 2 giants that you can fight guarding that grave, and there's some treasure in the grave. It's a nice little aside, like a side mission. I don't know. I think that was part of the whole game. When we played this, we had the winter expansion, the winter season expansion installed, and I don't know if there were some little things like that were added, or if that was just more mercenary stuff in the Shadows of Rose. So, another one of those elevator rides that I can only presume feel extra long to me. Maybe my computer is just having a hard time loading. In here, you're going to grab the 3rd flask. And you grab it right at the beginning, but then at least that makes it more clear. You grab the flask, and then your whole goal is to get out of this area and get back to the village. There's a cut scene here that's kind of humorous with Moreau. You wind up having a conversation with him, and he's playing the idiot. Got your arms there. He's playing the idiot, but he stalls you just long enough that he blocks the exit. So now you're forced to. The slime has blocked the exit. The slime is. The first time you see it, is you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to get squished by it. But there's no danger whatsoever. This can form and you can go away. So if this is your first time through, you probably went back to your right, found out that you couldn't leave that way, and then you looked at that opening to your left. And if you go out that opening to your left, you don't have to find a way back to the village. What you do is you find a way into the reservoir, and there's a boathouse down there, and you find out that you don't have the key to the boat. So, but since we know all that, we're going to go directly to get the boat key. In this shack here, that triggers a large wolf that just popped up to my right there. For some reason, I thought I was already at this doorway. And you could just run on past them, but I got nervous that they would chase me up the stairs, that they'd be chasing me for a long time, so I don't know if that's true or not. I just decided to kill them. I mean, they're like one shot each with a stake, so it takes a little time, but I felt safer. Now you're gonna go back up to that exit that leads to the reservoir. So like I said, a lot of running in this part of the game. There are some nice vistas. I mean, this is a nice little look over a lake. That's some dilapidated windmills. There are a couple of wolves in this. There's one inside the thing, and I made the mistake of trying to shoot him in the dark. I can't see, so I miss him. I choose on him. On casual mode, it doesn't really matter. I'm just shooting now. And here's your boat. Use your boat key. If you read the part there's a note inside that shack, the boat shack, and if you read that, it says that there's a large fish in the reservoir eating boats and people all together. And if this doesn't flash you back to Resident Evil 4, I'd be surprised. It means you didn't play Resident Evil 4 because you're just certain you know what that fish is.
What was that?
And you don't want anything to do with it. So run over here to the dock. There's a hidden grotto to the right here that we're going to, of course, skip because it's not necessary. But if you go in there's some fish. It's one of the few ways you can get enough fish to complete all of the cooking in one playthrough. There was a cutscene there where you find out that Chris is in there, and you're kind of confronting him about what's going on. What'd you do with Rose? And that whole conversation, before you get any real information, gets broken up by that huge fish tearing that shack and that whole area apart. You wind up on that deck, and you have a cutscene with Moreau. It all winds into one cutscene, so it skipped all by the whole thing. And Moreau's whining about how life isn't fair. It should be him that's at the ceremony, not you. And you're like, at what ceremony? You don't know what's going on. But he falls back into the water, and that's where you get the impression that he's the big fish. And you run over here. In that truck you ran by, there's a note that tells you that this is going to happen, that crank is going to break, and that you need to go over to. It shows you. He automatically looks at that windmill. The other windmills where you need to go to get a crank that isn't broken. So you run out here, and you notice that there are these. That had a slightly different graphic to it, and you could tell that it kind of floated, and his run goes differently. So any of these things that break down, Moreau can come over, and he can grab you right off of them, and you walk slower across them. I wasn't thinking about this at all. I'm just going like it's tomorrow. And once again, I didn't even know you could die there. I thought it was always timed to where he was going to go right in front of you or right behind you, and nope. So now you've seen two very embarrassing deaths of mine. But that goes to show you there is some slop in the 3-hour time it takes to run. That you have to run the dashing dad. You can die as long as you die in areas that don't cause you to have to go back. On casual mode, there's enough automated save spots. And this time I waited for him to go by. is an interesting section coming up. Is this, I don't know what to call it. It's kind of a physical puzzle. I mean, you're not trying to solve combinations or dials or do any math or do anything complicated, but you pull this lever and these platforms pull up out of the reservoir, out of the lake, and you can walk on them, but you can tell they're jittering and they're going to fall down after some amount of time. Not this first one, but there's blue platforms, orange platforms, and white platforms. And the blue button pulled up the blue platforms, the orange button pulls up the orange platforms. There's another blue button there that you probably need to push as you go through. And your whole goal is to get to this white platform lever so that you can pull them. If you pull them in this order, run, the blue platforms want to fall first, so you need to refresh them there. And then get across that as quickly as you can. And I did that almost flawlessly. It would be hard to do that any faster. You're in no danger crossing that one. You are in some danger there. If I'd have run out there, I probably would have died. And you're in a lot of danger here. Don't try to make it across that. Duck in here. You need to wait for him to reset, so I went ahead and broke the barrel. He's going to reset to the other side. Once he does, you can come out there and just kind of bait him and fake him. And as soon as he goes by, this slow walking on the floating bridge, you get there just barely in time still. And that timing's very tight, very, very tight when you're on Village of Shadows run, which we'll eventually publish. We've already run it, we've already completed it, and I have the video. I'm just in the editing process. Having two of those little carts down there waiting for him to go by, you can get across that. The next little segment, you're going to pull another one of those levers, and a crane is going to lift a boat out of the reservoir. You still need to get across it. I haven't ever died on that boat. That doesn't mean you can't. I mean, I had never died by the baby before, and I had never died in this area at all. So, well, except for the boss fight. I mean, there's first time you got a boss fight. But presumably he's hitting that boat. Ethan's saying he needs to get out of here. You finally made it over to the other windmill, so you're going to be able to get a crank that works. There's one little segment of this that irritates me. You grab this crank and you can't then immediately use it. You have to come over here and you have to look at this little half ladder thing that does nothing. And then now you can use the crank. And so it doesn't matter that you knew you needed to use the crank or not. You have to go look at that thing. Once you've looked at it, you can put the crank in here, spin the windmill around. They don't really explain why, but this stops the blades on the windmill at just the right point where you can climb up it and get to the top of the windmill. Once you're at the top, there's a zip line that will take you down back to the windmill that you first started on, that you tried to crank so that everything's jumps through there. That's a good one. I don't know why it took a second to come up, but put the crank in there. As the crank comes around, you will see the power go through the power lines and over to the place where that building you first ran through after you jumped off the dock back there. Come in here. There's a sluice gate, and just like with the music box puzzle, in our shorts, the playlist is linked in the description of the video. In our shorts, there's explains how I knew what buttons to push there. It's not particularly hard. I mean, there's a diagram to your right, but that diagram you have to rotate it, and you can't rotate it and set it back down. It's always going to be rotated on the screen. So you have to kind of understand and do the rotation in your head to have that right. It doesn't vary, so once you know the combination, of course for a speedrun you just put the lights the way that you know they have to go. There's a letter there that talks about Moreau's experiments in his diary. He's going to come bursting through there, and with the stake, this is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots. And he's dead. On Village of Shadows, that stake doesn't end that fight in 7 shots. I can tell you that for certain.
Discuss the exits
You,
up ahead.
you have to know how to beat him. And, but on casual, that stake, 7 shots, that would have earned you this Sashimi achievement. Because 7 shots was much faster than it needed to be. You get another 2 wings for your key. Now you've got 6 wings, which means you can open the final gate in the village and get to the stronghold. In that video there, Heisenberg would have been talking to you. He would have been telling you that you need to go get the 4th flask from the stronghold. You now have the key to get it. To your left there, you could go back to where the boathouse was. And if you do go back to where the boathouse was, you find that with the water drained from the reservoir, there's a path down through one of the dilapidated and tipped over windmills. And you can find another little spot where there's a couple of catfish with several fish ingredients for your cooking, as well as a treasure in a box. So it's worth doing if you're not on a speed run. But on a speed run, that's just wasted time. So back up the world's longest elevator ride. We're going to skip the area that was the kind of above ground dwellings of Moreau, where there you would find some more notes on his experiments with people. You'd also encounter another one of those large wolves that we killed. If it's your first time through the playthrough game, you almost have to go up there because that's where you find the Wolfsbane Magnum. So that's the first really powerful gun. You would get there, it's over to the right there. You would use the crank to open the gate and go through there. There's a couple of huts, some of those flying Samancas to kill, and one of those big wolves. But in our speedrun, we're going to run right by it. We also run by an area here that you could use the crank to go get a piece to the necklace combinable treasure. The crank would also drop the drawbridge way back the other direction, and you could do some more work there. If you go through the churchyard, there's the alpha of those large wolves is there, and you can kill him. But we're just headed this way, and the video is going to end as we get to this gate.